This is Cornelyn Degamo and I am the first one to discuss about the non-flowering plants. Mosses, liverworts, hornworts, lycophytes, and ferns are examples of non-flowering plants. They reproduce through spores. Gymnosperms, also known as conifers, are a class of non-flowering plants that still generate seeds. Non-flowering plants, is it a bit dull to hear? They don't have that attractiveness of the flowers. They don't bear those delicious fruits either. So what would make them useful to us? Well, basically, non-flowering plants are plants that do not use flowers to reproduce. Therefore, you cannot see some flowers in its structures. There are many kinds of non-flowering plants, but it's obvious that they don't have flowers or fruits. So how come there are still so many of them? Now, let's classify this into two main groups of non-flowering plants. First group are those plants that use spores to reproduce. Spores are cells that are very small. In fact, they are microscopic, that means they are so small that you cannot see them with your eyes. An example of spore-bearing plant is the ferns. The next group are non-flowering plants that use seeds to reproduce, and this group is called gymnosperms. How they have seeds if they don't have fruits? Well, the word gymnosperms means naked seeds because the seeds are not covered. And that's it. Non-flowering plants may not be as colorful as a plant with flowers, or they may not give you anything good to eat, but they do a lot to help the earth become a better place to live. There are other things you can explore about the non-flowering plants, but that is all for now. I hope you learned something. Bye-bye!
Good morning everyone, I am Laris Beran. I am the second one to discuss about the non-flowering plant. Flowering plants are the type of vascular plant which produces flowers. In order to reproduce, scientific name for the flowering plant is angiosperms. Flowering plants shows the pictures to your friends. This vibrant hibiscus, the beautiful rose, this cute sunflower, the juicy mangoes trees, and the papaya. Zoom in into these ripe papayas. Look so tasty. There are some of the flowering plants. Let's have a look at the stages of the life cycle of the flowering plants. Seed is the cycle of the flower plants. Seed, they start their leaves. The seeds are covered with a hard outer shell that protects the embryo inside it. Germination. The second needs air, water, soil to grow. The first tiny roots are emerged and then the stem grows. Seedling. A young plant emerges in this stage. You can easily see small leaves in the tiny plants. Mature plant. In this stage, the seedling continues to grow into a full mature plant with the roots, stems, and leaves. Flowering. The mature plant grows flowers. The flowers will produce seeds through pollination. When the seeds up on the ground, the life cycle starts all over again. The diagram of the life cycle of the flowering plant. Seed, germination, seedling, mature plant, and flowering. And that's all. Thank you.
Non-flowering plants. What is non-flowering plants? It is a plants that do not require flowers to reproduce. There are two main groups of non-flowering plants. Plants that use spores to reproduce and plants that use seeds to reproduce. Reproduce with spores. Examples of plants that reproduce spores is mosses. Mosses are soft and spongy. Plants that typically only grow a few inches tall. They tend to grow together in clumps. Mosses don't have flowers or seeds but use spores to reproduce. They don't have typical roots like most plants but anchor themselves to rocks and soil with short growth called xylithics. Ferns. Ferns is another type of plants that reproduce spores. Ferns produce spores casing on the underside of their leaves. These look like brown spots. At some point, the casing dry out and the spores are released into the air. And the non-flowering plants that use seeds are called gymnosperms. Gymnosperms. Gymnosperms means naked seeds. They are called this because their seeds are open to the air with no covering such as the seeds of flowering plants. One of the major group of gymnosperm plants is the conifer. Conifers. The word conifer means bearing cones. Conifers are plants that use cones to house their seeds. Conifers are the woody plants and most of them are trees such as pine trees, firs, cypresses, junipers, cedars, and redwoods. Conifers reproduce using their cones. Some cones are male and some are female. The male cones release pollen. This pollen is carried by the wind. If the pollen lands on a female cone, then the female cone will produce seeds. The hard scales of the cone protect the new seeds as they grow. The seeds of a conifer are winged seeds. When they are released by the cone, they will float on the wind until they reach the ground, where they will germinate and grow. Thank you everyone and have a good day.